His Excellency, can you hear me or not? Just a moment. No? Okay. His Excellency Carmelo Abela, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade Promotion, Government of Malta, Her Excellency the Ambassador of Malta to Israel, Cecilia Tad-Pirota, His Excellency Ambassador of Israel to Malta, Eyal Sela, Professor Ido Yitzhaki, Vice President and Dean of Research, University of Haifa, Mr. Shmuel Ben Tovim, President of the Israel-Malta Chamber of Commerce and President City Tel Aviv, distinguished guests from Malta, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the University of Haifa. Waranov Senaro Tayyib, l'Eccellenza Tia Carmelo Abela, il Ministro all'Affarijiet Barranin u Promozioni tal-Kummerċ, mistednin distinti, Mr. Alessandro Mangione, Private Secretary to the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade Promotion, Government of Malta, Mr. Arthur Gerard, Head of Secretariat, Mrs. Maria Camilleri Calea, Director General Malta. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very honored to host today the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade Promotion of Malta, Mr. Carmelo Abela. Your first name, Mr. Abela, Carmelo, shows that there is no coincidence in life, and that it was written that Your Excellency would one day be on Mount Carmel. A month ago, dear Minister, Your Excellency hosted Dr. Yuval Ben-Basat, the head of the Department of Middle Eastern and Islamic Studies, myself and a delegation of doctoral students, Arabs and Jews, to Malta to enhance intercultural dialogue. And we thank you about this initiative, and we are delighted to have you now with us at the University of Haifa. Malta shares many things in common with Israel. We share almost the same climate. We are almost on the same altitude. The colors of the Maltese flag, red and white, are also the colors of the University of Haifa. We are both Mediterranean in our characters. We are used to the bright light of the sun, and we share the same sea. Maltese is a Semitic language, and the only Semitic language in the European Union. Religiously, we are in the Holy Land. St. Paul traveled from the Holy Land to his trial in Rome and was shipwrecked in Malta. Malta has good relations with our neighbors, and you can serve as a mediator between us and them. We have both quality agricultural products, but Malta has very good honey, which has been known throughout history. As a poem of Gian Anton Vassallo, one of Malta's foremost patriots, says, "Isn't it obvious that your name, O Malta, means honey?" And linguistically, indeed, some etymologists say that the name Malta derives from the Greek word meli, which means honey. You are beautiful, our Malta. I praise you not since I am Maltese. The cold weather is never severe in your land, and always the sun passes by in winter. Your land has only nice and tasty fruits, yearned all over the world. انت صبيحة ومالتتانا مش أشملتين فخركيين السميك الدنيا كلها معروف جميلك كل مكين إموتيا بلسبح سيما لونا دولي شمتاتيك ما شوتك بالحلاوة ساخنك جيد تجيب لك وتقويك فيك البرد للحد ما يكسر متى الشمس تديلك بعيد ما يجيش نار طول سنة اللي ما يسخنك شفتيت والآر تيعك كل ما تعمل كله تايب كله بنين جواب ليتم الفروت تيعك اشتقوا وس برانين اللي الجيت بالوستات تينا قالوا فليبات زمينيات فيليتاتي عاد لي زايرة تسبو البوسطة أرتيت كل تفخير وجزيرة بيركا الأوريف سماو كتبوك قال نسيج الدين وليدك ألف سنة إلو فخروك لما حاجة اللي فيك تنبت تيبا وبنا ما توريش إلا رينجا الفراولة تيك من في الدنيا ما يسميش وش النيد ملاسل تيك لما بنيدم ما يفخروش يك يدوروا الدنيا كلها أحلى منه ما يسيبوش فيك الرنفلة فيك الوردة باش تحول لهم الأنجليجيت يمكن جميلهم يمكن بحالهم فيهم ريحة تسميويت جوا فيكو جزيرة تانا حليف الحلاوة ما تدهرش وكيف ليه يك اسمك حليف الأسل ما يفسرش. I invite to the stage two of our music students, Adham Swed on piano, please, and Salika Sabri, who will sing Tifkhira lil Malta, Praise for Malta, please. Thank you very much, Sally and Adham. I invite Professor Ido Itzhaki, Vice President and Dean of Research of the University of Haifa, to welcome our distinguished guests. Please.
Thank you, Aaron. Minister Abela, ambassadors, faculty members, students, Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, and welcome to the University of Haifa. It is not very often that foreign ministers are coming to our campus. And I believe it is fair to say that foreign ministers hardly visit any university during official visits. You can tell me if this is true or not. The reason for that, I assume, is that universities, and I'm not being very diplomatic here, are not considered to be significant players in the national level. Universities usually are viewed as schools for higher learning, and academia had become over the years a synonym of ivory tower. And this is a tower. It's not ivory, but this is a tower, and not in a good way. In other words, there is a big debate nowadays in Israel, as in other Western countries, about the current role of universities and their relevance in the years to come. One thing is clear: the academia, as we know it now, is going to change dramatically. Here at the University of Haifa, we came up with the term multiversity, which basically sums up our vision and to spread geographically and conceptually in northern Israel. Actually, we want to become the University of North Israel, the only University of North Israel. We want to be more diverse in what we teach and more accessible to the people who work and study here. When we learned about the possibility of having you here with us, Minister Abela, we were thrilled to offer you the stage and hear about your vision. I am sure that Malta should play a role in bridging between Israel and its neighbors through scientific cooperation. I believe that science has an important, indispensable role to play in peace process. Being the multiversities that we aspire to be, I sure hope that more decision makers will find their way here to our campus and help us to be a useful source, not just for knowledge, but also for know-how to our current and future students. I would like to thank Aaron Geva for initiating and hosting this event, and to all of you for coming. Welcome again to our campus, University of Haifa, and thank you again.
Thank you very much, Professor Itzhaki, and we hope to deepen our academic relations with the University of Malta. I invite now to the stage Her Excellency Cecilia Attad-Pirota, Ambassador of Malta to Israel, to say some words of greetings. Please.
Honourable Minister, can you hear me? Honourable Minister, Vice President, Professor Kleinberger, Ambassador Sella, Dr. Bentovim, friends, colleagues from Malta. What a pleasure it is to be back at the University of Haifa, an institution which I know puts so much emphasis on internationalization and is so active in student exchange and also academic staff mobility. Such exchanges have been ongoing with the University of Malta since 2012, when we signed the Memorandum of Understanding. Professor Kleinberger was, in fact, as he told you, in Malta just over a month ago. During my last visit here, I shared with you my views on the importance of such exchanges and how these constituted a powerful vehicle for people-to-people relationships, what we very aptly call citizen diplomacy. Today, I have the privilege and the pleasure to accompany the Honourable Minister, Carmelo Abela, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade Promotion, who will be sharing with us his thoughts about Malta's foreign policy with a particular emphasis on the Mediterranean. As an introduction to the Minister's speech, I just want to make some very short points about Malta for those of you who might not know Malta so well. Malta is on the cultural frontier between Europe and North Africa, speaking a language which fuses Semitic and Romance. Malta wholly forms part of the Mediterranean and wholly forms part of Europe. We are an island state, we attained sovereign statehood within living memory. Our foreign policy reflects our Maltese, Mediterranean, and European values. Values which not only characterize our society, our outlook, and our way of life, but they also mold our positions in the world today. And of course, Malta's foreign policy must be seen within the reality of a globalized world. And we are, by necessity and design, foreign trade oriented. Bilateral diplomacy is seen as an essential tool for Malta to communicate with other states, and in this sense, our foreign policy goals highlight the need to develop strategic relationships. Likewise, multilateral diplomacy is an important dimension of Malta's foreign policy. As you will hear, Malta remains an active participant in the work of a number of international and regional organizations. Lastly, we are fully mindful that as the world becomes more interdependent and the boundaries between foreign and domestic policy become increasingly blurred, it follows that much of what we want to achieve in Malta, at least to some extent, is dependent on our activities abroad. I thank you, and I trust that you will follow the Minister's lecture with interest. May I also conclude by wholeheartedly thanking Professor Kleinberger for his commitment in strengthening relations between Israel and Malta, particularly within the academic and cultural fields. We are here mostly thanks to him today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Her Excellency Cecilia Attard-Pirota, Ambassador of Malta to Israel. You are a very active ambassador, and we wish you further luck in the future to enhance the relations between our two countries. I invite now His Excellency Eyal Sela, Ambassador of Israel to Malta. Please, Eyal.
Honorable Minister Abela, Ambassador Cecilia Attard-Pirota, Professor Itzhaki, Dr. Ben-Tovim, dear colleagues, Habibti Ai, Erev Tov, good evening, Serata Taiba. Should say not only welcome to the University of Haifa, but also welcome to Little Malta. Now, this place, I think, is the most Maltese culture and language that we can find in Israel. Basically, thanks to Professor Aaron Geva Kleinberger for his efforts and works here. I will just say, Mr. Minister, that thanks to your leadership and the help of your ambassador and your team, we are strengthening even more the good bilateral relation between our two countries. This is your second visit to Israel, and we are very thankful that you are devoting your times not only for political meetings, but also to come and to exchange cultural, academic. Tomorrow we will have commercial relations. So we are in a good process to have even better relation between our two countries. Toda rabba, grazie chafna.
Thank you very much, His Excellency Eyal Sela, Ambassador of Israel to Malta. We wish you further success also in your job. Tomorrow in Tel Aviv, there will be a significant and historical event as the Israel-Malta Chamber of Commerce will be inaugurated. I invite Mr. Shmuel Ben-Tovim, the president of this chamber, to the stage, please, to say his words.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, Honorable Ambassadors, Professor Itzhaki, our host, Professor Geva Kleinberger, thank you all, and may I also greet the Honorary Consul of Malta in Israel, Mr. Blankletter, who is also with us. As Aaron rightfully said, the big show of us is tomorrow. We have a big event with 150 participants. All the dignitaries who are here will also attend. So I will use the floor tomorrow to say most that I have to and don't take the time from here. Tomorrow I may even be seen with formal attire, so don't hold your breath. What I would like to say very, very briefly is that throughout my career in diplomatic roles in the business arena, I always found that business people are the best diplomats because they break the way. They come first. If you look at the history of Israel, look who started the relations with India, with China, with East Europe, with other countries. You will always see the business people there and the diplomats and the politicians following them. That's a pattern, and not only in Israel. So we feel that the relationship between Malta and Israel are warming up, and the second visit of the minister here is a great evidence of it. But we feel that to really give it real meaning, we need that on top of the diplomatic and cultural and academic relationship, there will be, let me put it, dry interest of both countries, that the relationship will be kept in good shape, so business people in Malta and in Israel will benefit from this relationship. And this is the essence of the establishment of this chamber that we are inaugurating tomorrow with much more interest than we expected. You know, Malta is not a superpower, we have to admit it, but some of the larger and more old chambers in Israel look at us very envious at the kind of attention that we make. So I hope to see all of you tomorrow. Those of you who weren't aware of the event, it's not too late. You can join us tomorrow in Tel Aviv. I wish you a very pleasant stay and look forward to listening to your speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shmuel Ben Tovim, and we hope that the commercial and cultural relations between our two countries will be tightened. Malta suffered a lot during the Second World War. There were heavy bombardments on Malta, and the capital Valletta was almost totally destroyed. People were living for months in shelters, and even babies were born there and didn't see the light of the sun and the beauty of flowers and nature. When freedom arrived and peace was restored and people emerged from the shelters after the war, they said, "Today we don't yearn anymore to see roses and flowers." People were celebrating, and with them the neighboring countries. Finally, we got our independence, and the time came from the joy of all human beings. And here there are the wings of liberty flying towards the sun with the red and white colors of our flag. من بين الأوليم وصفارة من بين الشوك عطشان الوردة لين لتارة لون همران في الليل والليان من بين الأصحاب منكت من بين جباريت الآنيا هاد ما يسكت مسمويت لصفوف تايت اللوم اللي بدمنا مفديين بدين تنس لتصار اللوم منديش مشتقين من الوارد مزار ومنوار يفرحوا دام أدوارنا الجنوس والجيرين صف الآخر كسبنا دارنا دانه زمين تفرح كل خلقين والجوينة تلمح لوسة يطيروا لين الشمس البيضة وحمرا نبوسة بحالة ممش تين ما تنتمش اللوم بدمنا مفديين بدين تنس لتصار اللوم منديش مشتقين من الوارد مزار ونوار او الله حارس فوقنا ده الجنس اديش من الجديد في لينا صحة روحنا حنقيموك ونفخروك. The year 2014 marked the revival of the legendary Maltese rock opera Jensna, as you have never seen it before. Jensna was revamped and staged as a contemporary concert version. The music was performed by Malta's leading bands and singers and was accompanied by a 7-piece ensemble. Leading performers included Ira Losko, and the original cast made a special appearance. Jensna was performed on the 22nd of March 2014 in Ta'ali and is also called Tema 79. I invite Sally and Adham to perform an excerpt from Jensna at Tema 79, please. Thank you, Sally and Adham. It was very nice indeed. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very excited to invite to the stage His Excellency Carmelo Abela, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade Promotion, Government of Malta, to present a lecture entitled Malta's Mediterranean Vocation and its Foreign Policy. Your Excellency, please.
Vice President, Professor Itzhaki, Professor Kleinberger, Excellencies, Ambassadors, Honorary Consul, Mr. Bentovim, dear students, dear friends, and I think I should have addressed you all dear friends because I feel among friends here. First of all, congratulations to the pianist and the singer. She can sing in Maltese much better than I do. Of course, this is my second time here in Israel, and I immediately feel very much at home. And today, I have to say that I feel even this sentiment even more, because not only because of the Maltese language that I heard by the professor and by the singer, but also I'm close to a mountain that have my name, or I have the name of the mountain. It's the other way around. I will not go into issues, whether universities, and maybe I keep that for later. But definitely when on the 4th of May of this year, I had the opportunity to welcome Professor Kleinberger, who came to visit our ministry, together with a team of 15 doctoral students from this auspicious university. I promised him I would visit Haifa sooner than he could imagine. And here I am today, at this prestigious institution on the eastern shore of the Mediterranean, addressing you on Malta's Mediterranean vocation. This vocation can be understood as a consequence of Malta's geopolitical position in the center of the Mediterranean. So peace, stability, and prosperity in the Mediterranean represent Malta's vital national interest and objective. But before continuing, I would like to say something about the relevance of universities, since it was mentioned. And also, Mr. Bentovim raised another issue, which is not only the role of academics, but also the role of the business community. It feels like diplomats and politicians are not needed anymore. But I think it's a question of what can we do together rather than on our own. And I think we need each other much more than we think. And the issue of cooperating together rather than doing it on our own, I think it's the answer to most of the questions that we have today. So I really believe that universities will be relevant irrespective of what shape they take. Likewise, the business community is most of the time maybe the ignition to start also diplomatic relations. And the role of diplomats, of course, we know it's crucial, I believe, in everything that we do in today's world as well, still, irrespective of the emails, the mobile phones, but still the human touch needs to be there. And politicians or governments usually are seen as the enablers, in the sense that we open doors where doors are closed, maybe, or where there are difficulties when it comes to the business community to do business. At times, politicians are needed just for that. But then we leave the work to the experts, to the business people, business community. And I think that is why we need each other and we need to work together to reach our objectives. But let me return to the theme that I was asked to address today. As a small island, bare of resources except for its enterprising people, and conscious of our logistic location and strategic location, Malta has consistently advocated for dialogue, tolerance, cooperation, and the respect of democracy and the rule of law. In essence, effective multilateralism and the rules-based international order marries well with Malta's fundamental national interest. And we know that today multilateralism is a bit under attack. This approach is not just a matter of consequence, but it is also rooted in a strong belief. The influence of being an island nation with a millennial historical legacy, distinguished by foreign rule and war, has molded Malta's predisposition as a bridge builder across the Mediterranean. Besides being Mediterranean, Malta is also European. Hence, Malta's Mediterranean vocation takes on, by nature, a Euro-Mediterranean dimension. It has always been Malta's belief that European and Mediterranean security are firmly connected. Malta's dominant Euro-Mediterranean foreign policy agenda is evident when one highlights the plethora of trans-Mediterranean initiatives that Malta has supported for decades. Worth noting is Malta's interest in having a Mediterranean component within the work of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, in short known as the OSCE. Malta's efforts led to the inclusion of a Mediterranean chapter in the 1975 Helsinki Final Act. The OSCE today has a Mediterranean Partnership for Cooperation with Algeria, Egypt, Israel, Jordan, Morocco, and Tunisia, as a result of Malta's insistence that there can be no security in Europe without security in the Mediterranean. More recently, on the 4th of June of 2015, Malta proposed the appointment of a special representative for the Mediterranean to the OSCE Permanent Council. We are still hoping to achieve this. Actually, we're hoping to achieve this under the current presidency, which belongs to Italy at the moment. Let's see how it goes. But Malta argued that events that have been unfolding in the Mediterranean with direct repercussions for Europe and the OSCE have made it crystal clear that the OSCE needs to play a stronger role in the Mediterranean if it is to holistically address its own security. In the 1990s, Malta was an avid advocate for a council or association of the Mediterranean. At the 5+5 Western Mediterranean Forum, this meeting was held in Algiers in 1990, Malta proposed a framework of cooperation whereby, through non-rigid arrangements, one could achieve a setting for the development of a common understanding on issues such as intolerant fundamentalism, migration, and the root causes of tension. This proposal eventually evolved into the Barcelona process and later into the Union for the Mediterranean. The Union for the Mediterranean is an action-driven organization that brings together all 28 countries of the European Union and 15 countries of the southern and eastern Mediterranean. Its aim is that of enhancing regional cooperation and dialogue in the Euro-Mediterranean region to collectively address three interrelated priorities, which are regional stability, regional human development, and regional integration. Malta firmly believes that the regional organizations and initiatives in the Euro-Mediterranean area offer the appropriate framework to address threats and challenges, but also for the enhancement of dialogue and cooperation with a view to tap into the full potential of the northern and southern shores of the Mediterranean. It is in this spirit that Malta actively participates in regional political initiatives such as the Union for the Mediterranean, the 5+5 Dialogue, the Anna Lindh Foundation, and the Mediterranean Group of EU member states, which is known as the MED7. MED, not M-A-D, but M-E-D, of course. These have distinct but complementary mandates, as I shall outline briefly, of course. The Union for the Mediterranean is an ideal platform for confidence building and tangible project-based cooperation among European and Mediterranean countries, particularly by bringing key actors in the region together on the same table. The Union for the Mediterranean is unique insofar that it is the only international setting within which the Israelis and the Palestinians enjoy the same status and can work together and cooperate normally, including on matters of shared interest. Out of the 51 projects labeled by the Union for the Mediterranean, one has to mention with prominence the Eastern Mediterranean International School, EMIS. So EMIS, labeled by the Union for the Mediterranean in June 2016, is an international youth educational campus located in Hakfar Hayarok. Is it okay? Good. With over 200 students coming from countries all over the world, EMIS educates towards values of respect, diversity, and global citizenship. Malta fully supports the efforts undertaken by the Union for the Mediterranean to amplify its work on regional cooperation and integration. My country was active in this setting as from its inception stage, and I am pleased to recall that Malta's current ambassador to Israel, Her Excellency Cecilia Tart-Pirotta, was one of the first Deputy Secretary Generals of the Union for the Mediterranean. Let me now pass to the Anna Lindh Foundation, which is, as the Union for the Mediterranean Civil Society and Intercultural Platform, facilitates sharing congruency in intercultural dialogue between civil societies. Here I wish to note the landmark Met Forum held in Malta in October 2016, which was the largest youth and civil society gathering of its kind for the promotion of intercultural dialogue in the Euro-Mediterranean region. It provided an important platform for the Foundation's future action and the launch of the Young Mediterranean Voices. This is an initiative offering a new space for constructive debate and intercultural dialogue among young people from both sides of the Mediterranean. Malta continues to actively extend its support to the Anna Lindh Foundation. Earlier last month, my ministry hosted the first Strategic Partners Forum, which is a meeting for the Young Mediterranean Voices. We certainly look forward to the amplification of this interface with the Anna Lindh Foundation. Additionally, at the sub-regional level, Malta is a strong supporter of the 5+5 West Mediterranean Dialogue, which brings together the 5 southern countries of the Western Mediterranean with the 5 northern counterparts. It represents an informal, flexible, and practical partnership for dialogue towards peace, security, stability, and sustainable economic, and social development. Malta had hosted the second 5+5 Heads of Government Summit back in 2012. On the 21st of January of this year, at the meeting of Foreign Affairs Ministers held in Algiers, Malta assumed the Northern co-presidency of the 5+5 for the next 2 years. Accordingly, Malta will host the next meeting of the Foreign Ministers of the 5+5 in January of next year, 2019. Malta's Mediterranean vocation is also evident in its role and positioning within the European Union. Malta is a member of the Med7, the group of 7 southern member states. The advancement of the Mediterranean political agenda within the European Union is the main goal of this group, and I assure you it's not an easy task. This has been evident in the recent review of the European Neighbourhood policy. The long-term goal of the European Neighbourhood policy remains the development of an area of shared stability, security, and prosperity with Europe's neighbourhood. Membership in the European Union has added another dimension to Malta's Mediterranean policy and has concurrently augmented Malta's capacity to set and advance the Mediterranean agenda at the European level. This was especially reflected during Malta's first presidency of the Council of the European Union in the first half of 2017, whereby the Mediterranean was a horizontal main priority. A mention should also be made to the challenge of migration, human smuggling, and trafficking to the European Union, but also the region as a whole. Malta is pleased that the principles of solidarity, partnership, and shared responsibility from the Valletta Summit, which was held in Malta in November 2015, will continue to guide the European Union and its African partners' response. Malta was instrumental in hosting the Valletta Summit between the European Union and the African Union. And this summit was entirely dedicated to discussing the challenges and opportunities of migration. The Malta Declaration on the external aspects of migration was adopted at the Malta Summit of European Heads of State and Government in February 2017. Given its Mediterranean vocation as well as its strategic interests, the crisis confronting a number of countries in the Mediterranean area are of great concern to us. Of note is the situation in Libya. Libya's political transition towards a stable and functioning country through an integrated approach is a priority for us. Throughout the troubled and protracted aftermath of the 2011 revolution, Malta has consistently emphasized the importance of inclusiveness and Libyan ownership of a political process as the way forward. Currently, Malta fully supports the efforts of the United Nations, which is seeking elections in Libya due to a political stasis. In this regard, Malta emphasizes the adoption of a constitution and an electoral legal framework before elections are held. Also, as outlined in the Paris Declaration of the 29th of May. The situation in Syria remains a source of serious concern in terms of stability and peace in the Mediterranean and in the Middle East. Civil war in Syria has been the greatest source of instability for the Mediterranean in recent decades. Its consequences are to continue to be felt for years to come on neighboring countries and in regions beyond, which continue to host Syrian refugees. The onset of a genuine political transition is imperative for a truly sustainable solution to the conflict in Syria, in line with the UN Security Council Resolution 2254. Malta deems that such a solution is also necessary to address the significant security concerns emanating from Syria, such as the proliferation of chemical weapons as well as terrorism. Syria is also facing the predicament of lost generations. The number of children and young people who know nothing else but war counts in the millions now. Regarding the situation here, Malta remains fully committed to the resolution of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict on the basis of a two-state solution that meets the aspirations and security needs of the Israelis and Palestinians alike. In this regard, Malta believes that a political horizon towards the resolution of this conflict is urgently required, devoid of violence, where all parties partake in talks around the same table. I'm also pleased to note that tomorrow, as already was said, I shall be overseeing the signing of two memorandum of understanding between Malta and Israel and the launch of the Malta-Israel Chamber of Commerce. In this context, Malta considers its relationship with Israel as strategically and politically important for the continued amplification of cultural, commercial, economic, and people-to-people relations. In conclusion, and with a look ahead, Malta's Mediterranean vocation is the consistent pursuit of dialogue for peace, stability, and prosperity in the Mediterranean. It represents the principal credential with which Malta is bidding for a non-permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council for 2023-2024. Basing this bid on our reputation and credentials as a bridge builder and a voice for peace in the Mediterranean and beyond, Malta, with its historical and natural vocation for peace, shall continue to serve as a voice for dialogue and cooperation in the Mediterranean, rooted in the firm belief that such a state of play in the Mediterranean is crucial for international peace and security. I wish to take this opportunity to thank you again for your interest in Malta and to thank the esteemed management of the University of Haifa for believing in Malta and its power to bring people together. I certainly look forward to work closer with this university to make this desire a reality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, His Excellency, Mr. Carmelo Abela. We will have now time for some questions from the public, one or two questions. So, please. No questions?
No difficult questions.
No difficult questions. Anyhow, we would like to conclude this event with an optimistic yearning for peace, and we share your vision for peace in the Mediterranean area. Hopefully, Malta can take part in this process and vision. I would like to thank all the people who helped make this event possible. Our President, Professor Ron Rubin, our Rector, Professor Gustavo Mesh, Vice President and Dean of Research, Professor Ido Itzhaki, Vice President, Professor Gad Bazilai, our Dean, Professor Gur Elroi, Mr. Aaron Refter, Noya Perlman, Tami Leviel, Sharona Beksis, Hila Elroy, Esther Reichman, Nira Alon, Sofia Rivo, and the two ambassadors, Her Excellency Cecilia Tad-Pirota, Ambassador of Malta to Israel, and His Excellency Eyal Sela, Ambassador of Israel to Malta, and our thanks from the bottom of our hearts to many others. May I conclude this evening with the words of the prophet Josiah in 4 languages. וכיתתו חרבותם לעתים וחניתותיהם למזמרות. לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב ולא ילמדו עוד מלחמה. ويطبعون سيوفهم سككا ورماحهم مناجلا. لا ترفع أمة على أمة سيفا ولا يتعلمون الحرب فيما بعد. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spurs into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. وما يبدلوا شوابل تاعهم في سيكك المحيط ولا نتستاهم في منيجل. ابدا جنس ما يرفع الشابلة كونترا جنسيه وسنة الجويرة ما يتعلموهيش إزيد. Thank you very much.